Hello, wonderful women. This is Claudia from Nourished by Claudia, and today I would like to talk to you about food rules and even more exciting, food goals. Yay! So, if you have developed hypothalamic amenorrhea, it means that somewhere along the way you have internalized some food rules. And food rules are completely different for each one of us. So, they may be, for example, not allowing yourself to have dinner after 9 p.m., or not allowing yourself to have high carbohydrate rich meals. Or maybe you feel prompted to chop your foods in tiny little pieces before having them, or you don't allow yourself to sit down for a meal. Each one of us has completely different food rules, and they come from very old, deep ingrained beliefs that they make us feel safe. So food rules, especially when we don't trust our body and we don't trust our cues of satiety and hunger, they make us feel safe. Unfortunately, this is very illusionary. So food rules give us a temporary feeling of empowerment, of safety, but they are not real and they cannot last for a long period of time. And especially if you want to recover from hypothalamic amenorrhea, it's really a good idea for you to start breaking them down and to start thinking about them. So what I would like you to do today, this video is slightly different from others because it's more of an exercise video, is that to sit down, to take your journal out, and if you're driving and walking, doesn't really matter, you can always come back to this video and start answering some questions. So the first one is, what are your food rules? And you can take up to 2, 5 or 10 minutes depending on how many food rules you have developed in the past years, but just write them down. Don't forget about them, just write them all down. So just to give you an idea, my food rules back in the past were not having breakfast, so skipping breakfast every morning, having 2 coffees, 2 long blacks before eating any type of food. Also, another belief of mine was having a low carb meal and enjoying all the chocolate at nighttime, and possibly avoid having a snack too late in the afternoon because it was too close to dinner time, and I wanted to save as many calories as I could. So these are a lot of food rules, but I'm pretty sure that if I just sit and focus for a moment, I can come up with plenty of others. So what are your food rules? And now I'm gonna ask you a few more questions. I'm actually gonna read them, and I really invite you to think and focus and challenge them as much as you can. So first one, how did you come up with this rule? Do you plan to follow this rule forever? And what's gonna take you to break this rule? Interesting questions, aren't they? Have few more for you, so hang in there. The next one is this rule based on facts or fears? To give you an example, not having dinner, not having anything to eat after 9 p.m. Why do you have this fear? Do you think that you're gonna gain weight if you eat after 9 p.m.? And is this true? Do you have any proof that you're gonna balloon overnight if you allow yourself to have a packet of cracker or a proper meal after 9 p.m.? Possibly this rule is based on fears, deeply ingrained fears. Where are those fears coming from, and how can you stop them from ruling your life? Next question. How does this rule inhibit or enhance your relationship? For example, you don't like to sit down for a meal. How is that going to improve your relationship with your partner or friends or family? Food for thoughts. And then one more. Do other people have to follow this rule to be okay? And if not, why do you follow them? That's a very interesting one. Think about your daughter. Would you like your daughter to follow this rule? Does she have to follow this rule? So why do you? And the next question is very linked to this one. Would you tell anyone to follow this rule? So why not? And do your rules give you space for holidays and special occasions? Do you stick to your food rules also when you go away to the Bahamas or when it's Christmas time? Maybe if so, it's time for you to start leaving those food rules behind. And then the last two, what are you gaining or giving up by following this rule? And what would you take you to break this rule? So, as I said before, I know that these are a lot of questions, but they're very, very powerful. And I highly recommend you to write them down and answer them in your private time, in your private space. So, as I said before, if you're driving or if you're walking, just make sure that when you go back home or when you go back to the office, you sit down and write them and answer them. Food rules, they can be temporary, really empowering, and they can feel very safe. They give you this idea that you have life under control. But unfortunately, this is just an illusion. So if you really want to recover from HA, if you really want to live a life with mental freedom and food freedom, you really want to answer these questions, break down your food rules one by one step at a time, and just let them be in the past. Something more exciting than food rules are the food goals, which is the next topic that I would like to talk about. So what are your food goals? That's a massive question. That's a big question. And for some of you, it's going to be really scary because you're scared of giving up your food rules. Your body is going to change, right? And no one likes changes. And what if your next body is going to be something that you really don't like and you'd rather be stuck in the past? These are all very important questions that you should ask yourself. But if you really want to recover, remember that you have to move forward. There is just one way, and that way is forward. So let's talk about food goals. What are your food goals? And you can dream as big as you want. You don't have to be stuck in the same loophole that you are stuck now. Although now you don't feel that you can achieve them, it doesn't really matter. Just write them down. What's your food goal? To have dinner at 9 o'clock every single night, after 9 o'clock every single night, so be it. So maybe you're tired of chopping your food in tiny little pieces, or maybe you want to have carbohydrates for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. It doesn't matter if it's okay or not, if it's healthy or not, whatever healthy means, but just write them down. And also in this occasion, I'm gonna ask you 5 different questions. So the first one is, what would you like to do with food that you currently can't do? So for example, when I was going through my recovery, I hated skipping breakfast. It made me feel really unwell and quite nauseous every single morning, but I kept doing it. I was too afraid of gaining weight. How silly it sounds now. It's unbelievable. But back then, I was absolutely sure that that was a very healthy and very sane food rule that I had to stick to. Back then, my food goals was to sit down with my family every morning and have breakfast, which is something I do nowadays quite regularly, unless obviously I have to work early or we are running late, but life can happen. Second question, what behaviors would you like to stop doing but currently can't stop? Once again, think about your behaviors. How would you like to change them? What would you like to be different? Third question, describe what you think a healthy relationship with foods look like. How would you like it to be if you didn't have to worry about your weight? That's a very powerful one. If we take weight gain or weight loss out of the picture, how would you approach your relationship with food? Would you have the second slice of cake if you're really hungry or if you really craved it? I think that you would. And last question. Now that's it. I asked all of them. So once again, break down your food rules. Try to challenge them, because if you really want to move forward in life, you really need to leave them behind. Think about your food goals, although also if you're not really ready to tackle them, or if you don't even think that they can become real one day, and spend some time working towards achieving your food goals. And also make sure to join my private Facebook group, I Want My Period Back, where I talk everything about caloric intake, exercise, stress, hormonal balance, getting your period back. And we have a lovely and supportive community of women that are there to support your journey towards recovering from HA. Enough for me today. Claudia from Nourished by Claudia. Ciao for now. Mwah.